Madison Guernsey and Merril Hoge discussing the ISJ Sports Stars event. Merril, thank you for being here.
My pleasure. I'm excited. It's the first annual, right?
First ever, yeah.
We're kicking it off.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Excited about it.
Back in Pocatello, when was the last time you were here?
God, I was just asked that the other day. It may be 5 years ago that I was here. It's been a while, and I used to come here every year. I used to have a cabin up in Island Park, so I lived there in the summer. During the wintertime, because I had a place in Arizona, and I didn't want to stay in Arizona, so I spent a lot of time in Pokie and IF and Island Park. But then when I sold my cabin, my kids got to where they didn't want to travel as much, and they wanted to stay home. I didn't get here as much, but it's been a while. It's been about 5-6 years.
And you live in Cincinnati. What's nice about coming back to a little bit slower pace in Southeast Idaho?
Well, it is definitely slower. I always appreciate coming back home because I like that slow pace. To get in Cincinnati and Pittsburgh, and spend a lot of time in New York, New York is great on a Friday, and then you leave on a Saturday. And I love New York like that. I couldn't live there, but it's always nice. I've got great friends here. I've got friends at elementary and junior high school and high school that are still my friends today. That I tell people all the time. I played football all the way in my hometown, all the way from youth football through college. I didn't know that they played football outside of this city, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy for a smaller area like this. Football's big, and it gets a lot of support. I mean, what can you say just about kind of the local football scene and local sports scene in general here that makes it special?
Well, I think obviously there's always been great tradition here. Now, when I grew up, there was you only had two high schools, Pokey and Highland, and there was that great rivalry. And Highland at the time, we were always in the playoffs. They had won state championships. They continue to do that. They got a lot of great players that go to big schools. My nephew went to Notre Dame, and Tristan may be the most recruited kid maybe in the history of Idaho. When you think of all the scholarships he got from the SEC, the ACC, the Pac-12, rightfully so too, because he's that type of player and young man. But I used to get in this fight all the time in Pittsburgh when I was there. I did a radio show for DVE. I still do it. I started out doing it when I was about my second year there. I even did it when I was a Chicago Bear. I would call in and do a radio show. But when I was first there in Pittsburgh, I watched some of their high school football, and they have really some amazing players. Some of the great history of football comes through Western PA. But some of their better high schools, I went and watched them play, and I'm like, man, I'm going to tell you this. I will fly Highland up here, and we will beat you guys. And you will burn your first 3 timeouts because, what people may not know in this area is that I think high school football was superiorly advanced when I was playing. When my brothers played, I have a brother younger than me, 2 years younger. Well, I got 2 younger brothers, and they both played for the Cutters. And, in high school football, which, Gino has done that at Highland still today, continued to evolve the way high school football is played. They weren't playing like that in Western PA. And what I mean by that, we would throw the football, and we did a lot of different formations in high school. Well, in Western PA, everybody was kind of running the wing tee. Nobody runs the football at all. And they don't even think about throwing it other than, a screen here or there. So I'm like, if we threw our offense out there, what would they do in Highland?
Yeah.
I go, you would burn a timeout because you wouldn't know what to do. You guys might have some really unique athletes, which they do, but as a team, I would have put Highland against anybody up there. They would beat them just based on how they had evolved in the kind of offense and the way they played football here.
You mentioned your nephew, Tristan Hoge, just got done with his freshman season at Notre Dame. Redshirted, but I understand he was the scout team player of the year. Is that true?
Yeah, he, I talked to his dad a lot, my brother, Marty, and Tristan's what I love about Tristan, as far as he's got a phenomenal skill set, and he's just a great human being, but he does the other things, the intangible things that are valuable as a player and just, in your life's work, is he's going to play hard all the time. And when you're the scout guy, you're playing against the starters. Okay, so you'll get a starter that thinks that you shouldn't be playing that hard, and doesn't maybe he doesn't want to be challenged on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Well, Tristan had nothing to do with that. And Marty called me. I was like, listen, don't ever have him stop. Don't let him ever let somebody tell him he's going too hard, because that's that other person's problem, not Tristan's problem. And when he plowed through that, he took a lot of heat because he practiced hard, he challenged him, he made him better. Well, at the end of the year, that was just, to me, a confirmation and a compliment that everybody respected that. They may not have liked it, but they respected it when it was all done.
First ISJ Sports Stars event. We're excited. What about this event made you excited and made you want to fly out to us to help us run it?
Well, I have great value for young people, and I see life through their eyes in a way, because I remember being that age. I know of the challenges, but I also know of the dreams and the things I was trying to do at that time. I also knew of a lot of the people that weren't supportive, and I'm talking about older people that probably should have known better, or were too eager to crush a dream or discourage a person versus encourage them. And I've always looked at that now, or any opportunity to really give kids an encouraging message and the things that they can do versus the things they can't do. And it seems like adults sometimes just get caught up in telling all the kids what they can't do versus what they can do. And I think we lose sight of helping them. What I do like about young people, most of the time they're not discouraged by that for a period of time, but then the more they hear it, then it can consume them. So an opportunity to A, come back home, and B, talk to an audience of that age group. I'm always excited to do that.
This is kind of a special thing that certainly never happened when I was a young athlete. Anything like this for you?
No, I mean, listen, like you just mentioned, we talked a little bit about Tristan, this particular award, for all of these schools to come together. I think that's such an awesome experience, because all these kids probably have read or seen on TV, something about a lot of people that will be there.
Yeah.
To be in the same area with them would be an awesome experience for them, and I think back about in high school, obviously we didn't have that, or a lot of the recruiting the way it goes on today. So it will be an awesome experience for them. And would you have liked that? Would I have? Yeah, sure. We would have loved that. Anything like that would have been truly awesome. But it's great that you're doing it now. I love seeing that you guys are doing it now. These kids, I hope, realize how lucky they are. They may not realize it right now, but down the road, to have experienced this moment will be a very cool thing for them later.
I understand you do charity work. If there's anything you want to mention about that.
Well, I do a couple different things. My passion is kind of split in different ways. It means you can have more than one passion in life, which I believe in. How my career evolved in Pittsburgh, and part of the challenge the Rooneys give you as being a Steeler is that you're going to get involved in the community and you're going to give back. And then Chuck Knoll would introduce, but do it with people that are credible. Don't just go out and think you're doing charity work and it's not really charity work. Well, I got involved in a program to really help the uninsured children of Western Pennsylvania at a time where all the steel mills had been shut down and all the steel mill workers lost their jobs. So when I became a player in Pittsburgh, that was during that time frame, and between Highmark, Blue Cross, Blue Shield, and the Steelers, they created a program. They selected 2 players to represent the Steelers in that campaign. It was me and Cornell Lake. And that was well over 30 years ago. And it's evolved into the Caring Place, the program that we started for young kids that were uninsured. The government adopted that program. Then we evolved into what we call a Caring Place. And that is a center for families that have lost a loved one. So it's focused on children, but parents come. And it doesn't have to be a loss. It can be a loss of any family member. But what resonated with me is I lost my mom at a young age. So I understand the sting of death. I understand the pain and the mourning process and how difficult that can be and how different it can be. That, and then along with really, not that it's a charity, but the head trauma issue that's out there today there's a lot of hearsay and a lot of misinformation, a lot of scare tactics, and misinformation that's scaring people. Where we have messages now, we have information, and we have evidence of it to empower people, to give them the right information so they make good choices for their kids at whatever environment that they play in. And I do a lot of stuff with Leukemia Lymphoma Society at Non-Hodgkin's 13 years ago. So we try to spread that, create awareness there and encouragement where cancer treatments are evolving. They're getting to targeted therapies. There's a lot of hope on the horizon versus doom and gloom. When you hear cancer, it's always doom and gloom, and maybe it will always kind of have that effect for a while until we get to those targeted therapies for all cell types. And that will be our answer to cancer. And we're closer now than we were 13 years ago.
Yeah.
So I get optimistic about that.
Yeah. Good to hear. Kind of going back to local ties. You're from Pocatello. You're, one of the legends from Idaho State. You're on ESPN. How often, when you come back here, do you get recognized? And is it, or is it just kind of coming back home?
Well, it's it's kind of funny. I can go some places. Here's the funniest place where you would think that I played. Like, Pittsburgh, it's a whole that bond there. I am so grateful for that bond because people there, they recognize me, but they treat me just like, hey, Merril, how you doing? Like, I'm like this. Hey, what you doing? I don't know from any, but I love them like that. They are the greatest fan. But when I'm in New York and I'm going through a toll booth, every time I go to the toll booth, the toll person knows me. And we start talking football, or I'm going through the Lincoln Tunnel, or I'm leaving. So I always crack up at that. I go, what is the odds of New York, of all the places? But when I come back home, it's just, it's kind of like because there's so many people I grew up with. It's just, they know me from being a kid and growing up together. So it's not like that when I come home here. It's completely different. It's like coming home.